Today we will read a story about Cy Slider's great adventure. But before that, let's get familiar with some words first. Glance. This card shows two people looking at things. The woman is looking very closely at a map. She even has a magnifying glass to see it better. The man is looking at a sign quickly as he runs by. When people look at something quickly like that, we say they glance at it. Empty. A glass turned upside down in the picture. There is nothing in the glass. If there is nothing in the glass, we say it is empty. Leak. We can see a swimming pool in the picture. It looks like there is a hole in it. Water is leaking out of the pool. Yes, the pool has sprung a leak. Split. We see a pizza has been cut into pieces. When something is cut into pieces, we say it has been split. Float. We see a leaf and some water. Notice how the leaf is on top of the water. It floats on the water. When something floats, it stays on top, without sinking. Things that are very light can float in the air too. Collect. We see a girl is collecting seashells. When you collect things, you bring a bunch of them together. Cradle. The baby is sleeping in a cradle. A cradle is a small bed for a baby. It usually rocks side to side. Burst. We can see a balloon that has popped. The balloon has burst. When something splits open, especially if it does so quickly, we say it has burst. Flat. Let's look at the top of the table. See how it's even and not bumpy. That means it's flat. Patch. The pumpkins are growing in a patch. A patch is a small area. This picture shows a pumpkin patch, an area where pumpkins grow. Remember that sometimes a word means more than one thing. Look at the picture card again and find the little box in the corner. Patch also means a small piece of cloth or other material that is placed over a hole to fix it. Okay, next, let's move to today's story. Cy Slider's Great Adventure. Hurry up, Jordan. You're already late for school, and I'm late for work, Mom yelled from downstairs in the kitchen. Jordan rolled over in bed and glanced out the window. The sky was gray and fat drops of rain fell in puddles on the sidewalk. Jordan didn't like getting out of bed on days like these. He had just tucked his head back under the covers when he suddenly remembered he had something fun to do today. The kids in Mr. Chen's kindergarten class had been collecting the seed pods of milkweed plants. They were going to use them in art projects today. Jordan had a very cool idea about what he would make with his seed pod. I decided what I'm going to do for my project, Jordan said to Mom and Tiana on the way to school. I'm going to make a speedboat out of my seed pod. It will be really cool and fast. Jordan reached into his pocket and took out a tiny action figure. The little plastic man wore a bright red wetsuit and a yellow life jacket. I'll put Cy Slider in the seed pod and make him race around in the sink. I hope the seed pod will float, smiled Mom. A big guy like Cy Slider needs a good, strong boat. When Jordan arrived at school, he saw that the other children were already hard at work. Maggie made a small bird's nest out of several seed pods stuck together. Rafi made a mouse out of a seed pod and some fluffy cotton. Caroline and Amir made a cradle for a tiny doll. I can't wait until everyone sees Cy in his speedboat, Jordan thought. But when Jordan looked into the basket of milkweed pods, he saw that it was empty. I'm sorry, Jordan, some of the seed pods were destroyed, said Mr. Chen. He pointed to a pipe near the ceiling. It had burst. Now, water was leaking into a bucket. Water got into the basket last night and I had to throw out most of the seed pods, said Mr. Chen. Jordan looked sad. Why don't you see if Ms. Shari will help you collect some more seed pods, said Mr. Chen. I can tell you really want to do the project. Jordan smiled and ran over to get Ms. Shari. Ms. Shari was the teacher's aide for Jordan's class. She was helping Maggie with her bird's nest. Ms. Shari, said Jordan, will you help me collect some more seed pods for my project? I have a really cool idea for how to use them. He whispered his idea into Ms. Shari's ear. "Oh, that sounds like a great idea," said Ms. Shari. "Let's go outside and find some more seed pods." In the schoolyard, Ms. Shari and Jordan walked toward a patch of milkweed plants growing by the fence. Many of the pods were ripe and had already burst open. Jordan picked a closed one and split it open with his thumbs. A milky white liquid oozed out. He could see the flat brown seeds lined up in the pod. "I think the dried seed pods will float better than the fresh green ones," he thought to himself as he picked one of the older pods from the plant. It was filled with a soft, white, fluffy material. "Did you know that milkweed seeds get picked up by the wind and float away? Then new plants grow where the seeds land," said Ms. Shari. Jordan listened, but he couldn't wait any longer to see if the empty seed pod would float with Slider inside. He took Cy out of his pocket and put him in the seed pod boat. Then he put the boat in a tiny stream of water the rain had made near the fence. Jordan watched with delight as the little boat floated down the stream. His plan had worked. The end.